Hey yo, a bit of an odd video. Don't mind me that I just showered. My hair looks like shit. I wanted to make like a bit of a short discussion video because there's something that is just on my mind. This is not gonna be completely Outlast Trials related as well. Like I know Outlast Trials content has slowed down quite a bit because there's just not really anything interesting right now, and I'm low-key kind of taking a break a little bit from the game. I'm streaming something else, for example, but yeah, I just wanted to make a random ass discussion video because that's something that came up a lot recently and I just want to get my mind out. I don't even know if this video is gonna be any interesting. Maybe for all we know, this quote-unquote discussion video is just me rambling a little bit, and if you're watching this, maybe you have an open ear for it. But yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about like game difficulty and how right now, I don't know how. I don't know how I can describe it because I don't want to say it's like oppressed or anything. Like, that's not what's the case. But like, a lot of the times it feels like nowadays in games with like hard modes, harder difficulties, or like hard games in general, they are not tolerated as much anymore, and I kind of find that quite sad. Now, obviously, to me, I'm like someone who loves challenges and, like challenges in games and, push myself to like the limit, like challenge runs, whatever the fuck. For example, I'm learning and practicing for one for like the main channel right now, which holy shit, if you get like a main channel video before the end of the year, that would be quite pork. But as someone who's like very involved with like hard difficulties and hard mode in games, obviously that kind of affects me. But yeah, like I don't know how like even start talking about this, but like I just feel like recently it's just gotten to the point with like a bunch of games that I play or like I enjoy watching or whatever, that a lot of people are not really fond of the idea of harder difficulties being hard and be like taking effort to actually like learn and eventually overcome the hard difficulty. Obviously, let's maybe start talking with like some examples so you know what the hell I'm talking about. Obvious example in the room with like my Outlast Trials content, like escalation, probably the best fucking example. Escalation is a game mode in Outlast Trials where you are supposed to like, it's like a roguelike mode where you choose upgrades at the start, and you keep going and going and going, and trials are designed to go harder and harder. At the release of this game mode, it was substantially hard. Then they buffed it, but then they hardcore nerfed it, which made the mode very fucking easy in comparison. And a lot of people got like free peaks from it, especially with saving that got added, which in the 1,000 peaks. And recently they went ahead and made it harder again, which, mind you, escalation is supposed to be designed to get harder and harder and harder. And so many people do not like this. And it's just perplexed to me how many people do not want to adapt and learn and, don't get the concept that if something is like hard, advertised as like something is getting harder and harder, something is supposed to be the end game. Like, for example, in Outlast Trials, I see escalation as kind of like the end game content. How people think, yeah, if I do not learn to deal with certain variator combos or certain variators, cough cough, no running, cough cough, or like combos like Jaeger, Toxic Shock or whatever, if I not learning to deal with these and just complain about it, and I should be still getting free peaks how I'm supposed to, and that is just such a weird mentality. And like the thing that, pun intended by the way, for the upcoming like point, annoys me the most is the one argument that I will always hear from the same people, that certain mechanics are annoying. Like that is kind of the main argument. Oh my god, it's not because it's super difficult, it's just annoying, which is such a weird argument to me because annoying is purely subjective. it is purely subjective, and if something makes context in a game from like a difficulty standpoint, or is proven that it is fairly beatable, for example Jaeger Toxic Shock and shit like that is proven to be very beatable, then it's not annoying and should disappear. Like, okay, it might be annoying for you, but that should not be a reason why it should be removed. Or for example, no running, coming back to no running again, is like Outlast Trials is a stealth game and not a speedrun competition. And I always hear this argument about the no running variator, completely missing out on the point, by the way, that you have a counterplay with adrenaline, which makes it well designed, but that's besides the point. But a lot of people then just go and, argue, oh my god, this makes trials take so much longer and that's annoying because I don't want to take double the time in a trial. I'm sorry to break it to you, but in the context of Outlast Trials is a stealth game, not a speedrun competition, so no running is justified to be in there, as well as a normal play, as well as an escalation. It's not, oh my god, they should change it because my speedrunner brain that plays all the trials the same cannot adapt to like a new challenge that makes the game actually harder. That being said though, I want to get a little bit further and talk about like some other games. Like, obviously I now talked a bunch about Outlast Trials because like my core audience is Outlast Trials, so obviously if you are a regular viewer you know what the fuck I'm talking about. But it goes beyond just Outlast Trials, which by the way, do like nudge in on Outlast Trials. Psychosurgery, for example, would be another example if you are about to say, oh my god, he's only talking about escalation and no running. Like, Psychosurgery is another example. They made it recently where you had to unlock difficulty after a step point, and the main reason for that was because some people were straight up starting on Psychosurgery on like they were starting on highest difficulty from the start and then complained that the game is too hard, even though they didn't, first of all, almost didn't learn anything about the game to like fucking improve, and second of all, they expected to jump in on the highest difficulty and expect to just get like freebies and the game just throwing stuff at you. But yeah, enough about Outlast Trials. Obviously, one of the most common examples, if you want to see that in like games, not necessarily difficulty modes, but like games, is obviously games like Dark Souls or Elden Ring or whatever, where there's always this discussion about, oh my god, it needs an easy mode and so on and so forth, even though there's built-in easy modes by just leveling up and magic and all that kind of shit. But one game series in particular, which I also started getting back into recently, is like the Reflect Studio Welcome to the Game franchise, which is like Welcome to the Game 1, Welcome to the Game 2, Scrutinize, Dead Signal. If you've ever heard of these games, it's these games that are basically kind of FNAF-like, where you are in like a location, like a house, and you have to defend yourself from like killers, assassins, and so on and so forth, while you do tasks on a PC. That's basically the TLDR. So it's like very FNAF-like in a way. And these games are notoriously difficult for like a good reason. And that's a part of why I enjoy it. All these games have like permadeath by default on like normal difficulty, and these games are also very unforgiving. The newest one, Dead Signal, is a lot more forgiving. I will say that, even though that game has some bullshit, but for the most part, these games are really unforgiving. And the thing, what I read a lot about it, is that by the games being hard, they should be changed to not be hard. And them existing as hard games is a bad thing. Now to preface this argument is kind of valid if you take into consideration that the developer sometimes cries a bit about the fact that the games don't sell well. If he wants to make it accessible for it to sell well, then yeah, it is a valid argument to make the games easier. But if you have a niche like this, with games that are designed to be hard as shit, and you complain about them in the first place that they are hard as shit without filtering, that is such a dumb point, to sweep in. you can differentiate it between shit in these games that is actually bullshit, but also stuff that is not bullshit, but you just don't have spent enough time in the game to learn it. Best example of that is Welcome to the Game 2. It was the game, unironically, that I started making YouTube with, which is like 8 years ago by now. It was like on the old channel that's now the What channel. I like privated all the videos because of like some controversy drama or whatever. But yeah, main point is I started with the YouTube with this game, and the main way I played this game is that I learned by just playing the game. This game is like designed with like a permadeath mechanic, and you need to play the game a lot, die a lot, learn from your mistakes a lot in order to overcome it. And in my opinion, Welcome to the Game 2 is still the best designed one after all these years of his games. However, then there are other people all of a sudden jumping in and saying, no, this is bullshit, this is bullshit. Most common thing, it's a permadeath game, and people do not like it that, for example, in this game, you have to do a basic setup at the beginning. For example, in Welcome to the Game 2, you have to pick up the flashlight, you have to set up your money farmer, you have to crack Wi-Fi networks to not get swatted, and so on and so forth. Like, the fact that you have to do like a bunch of stuff in the beginning because it's a permadeath run, and because of that, it's like you have to do the cycles. People see that as like a completely bad design, whatever, unredeemable thing about this game, without realizing that, you know, permadeath and the fact that you have to get into these routines and learn these games are what makes this game great, and, you know, the difficulty great. Same with, you know, maybe some content creators is maybe also a good example. Markiplier played Welcome to the Game 2 back then, and, you know, he sucked at it. He sucked at it, but obviously people ate it up, and, you know, were like, oh my god, this game is so hard and bullshit because, you know, Markiplier failed at it. No, he sucked, and he played pretty wrong in like these. For example, he did this mistake there against like the assassin Lucas, and because of that he dies, so he has to do that differently. But people do not want to listen to that and just think, oh my god, I should be able to clear this game without any issue, without learning any of the mechanics, whatever. It's just this inability to like sit down and learn a game. Not to say that in the case of Reflex Studios games, there are things that are bullshit. Let me talk about something that is bullshit and that I have to deal with on a regular basis right now in that Signal. There's a mechanic also with the Assassin where you have to lock the door with like a keypad. And sometimes what can happen is, because there's no buffer, what can happen is the door code changes, which disables the door code, but once you like see it physically on your screen and you want to change it, in that moment he enters and you literally have no counterplay to that. Like, I'm not saying that these games are without bullshit, but so many people go into games like these and just straight up go, oh my god, if something is remotely hard in this game and you have to learn a process to get better, no, it's bullshit. This needs to be nerfed. This needs to be better. This is annoying. And I just find it sad, because there are so many games out there that you could play instead of, you know, being like, oh my god, but I want to play this really niche. By the way, I don't want to come this off as like, oh my god, just play something else if you don't like hard games. But like, I find it very good that for gamers like myself, niches like these exist, like games that are designed to be really hard, or like game modes that are designed to be really hard, and they shouldn't be watered down just because people do not want to learn. Like, for example, in like competitive games, I can only think of Overwatch mostly, because that's pretty much the one competitive shooter that I play. You also sit down and, you know, be like, if you're like hard stuck a rank, and maybe go, oh my god, how can I play different? Maybe you rewatch a match and you go, oh my god, I could have done this differently. I could have used my ult here differently. Okay, target priority was off differently. There you go into a learning process, but because a lot of these games with like hard modes are obviously not competitive games, and I'm not advertising them to be competitive games. People automatically don't have this mindset that you should need to improve in order to overcome hard challenges. And this mentality of, okay, maybe in order to overcome the hard difficulty, maybe I should sit down and maybe learn some stuff here and there. Again, I'm not taking away that sometimes there are scenarios in like hard games or hard modes that can be quite bullshit. But for example, in the case, again, to roll this video back to like trials at the beginning, like a lot of variators that you can get in escalation or variator combos, a lot of people that have little experience with them and do not want to improve with them just say, oh my god, this is bullshit, this needs to be removed, even though it's fine, because it's been proven that it is fine. And there aren't any edge case scenarios like the assassin keypad example that I gave you earlier when I talked about that signal. So yeah, I just wanted to rant this a little bit. I don't know if this video is like any good or whatever. I just wanted to get it out a little bit out of my system because it's just something on my mind. Maybe I do more videos of this if I have like more topics to just yap about. If you guys are even interested in that, I do not know. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave this here. Again, Outlast Trials content maybe sooner again. Right now I'm just a bit of an hiatus. Like, no running weekly was very interesting, obviously, but like confinement and secondary, mandatory secondary is just not that interesting to me. I'm just doing them passively and just, get the post and be it, and wait for like the next update and stream something else in the meantime. But yeah, thank you so much for watching though. If you enjoyed this, make sure to drop a like and let me know what you guys think. If I'm a moron for having this opinion, maybe there's something to be considered. Which I want. I forgot about talk about this. By the way, I do not want to advertise against accessibility. That's maybe something that some people will point out, that I'm, vehemently against accessibility because I want shit to be hard. I know it's a bit of a roughy topic, but like that's something that came to mind. But yeah, thank you so much for watching though, and have a good one, everyone. Bye bye.